Welcome to The Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. We'll start today with some updates on the controversial issues surrounding the U.S. election. But before I do this, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you for supporting this channel. It's been an honor to have been given the opportunity to deliver truthful information. The team and I posted our first video November 13th, and just 7 weeks later, we've reached 200,000 subscribers. So thank you all very much, because without your daily support, your likes, and your shares, there's no success. And here at Eye Opener, we truly understand that. Allow me to wish you all a happy New Year's. Let's continue to support one another. Let's continue to stand for what is righteous and just. But most importantly, patriots, let us hold the line firmly and defend freedom. Now, let's get into the show. According to NBC News, Vice President Pence is scheduled to leave for a trip to Israel, Bahrain, and some other places on January 6. As you know, January 6 is the day that the joint session of the Congress is to count certificates of electoral votes. President Trump's team hopes that Vice President, who hosts the joint meeting on this day, will have the courage to challenge the controversial election and come up with a fair and just result. As the President of the Senate, he has the authority to challenge and reject the results from the contesting states in the election. However, it would be a different story if Vice President Pence made a trip overseas on that same day. According to Republican Congressman Mo Brooks, who was the first to propose a public challenge before Christmas, at least 70 Republicans in the House and Senate have already expressed their intention to join the challenge on January 6. They plan to speak for 5 minutes each, adding both House and Senate votes on each motion. Breaks for the members. The January 6 meeting is expected by some media to last at least until the 7th. But Pence is scheduled to make a visit on January 6, and he is the host of the meeting, which means Pence will probably not be challenging the election results. If that is the case, then the certification process would be basically a formality. It could be over soon, in accordance with the disputed results of each state. After that, Pence would hop on a plane to another country in a flash for a few days of trips overseas. In addition, Pence has not officially stated his position on whether he will challenge the election results on January 6. And there are even reports in the mainstream media that Pence told President Trump on the 23rd that it would be difficult for him to do so. Newsmax also reported on the 29th that before Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert filed a lawsuit against Pence, Gohmert and Pence's lawyers had a teleconference, but the two sides did not reach an agreement on how the Electoral College vote is formally accepted on January 6. As we all know, Gohmert's lawsuit against Pence is aiming for judges' ruling to push Pence to challenge the certificate results. The lawyers of both sides did not reach an agreement, which means Pence may not have made up his mind to do what he has to do on January 6. The conference call was mentioned in Gohmert's December 29th filing with the Texas District Court. This has made many American voters quite critical of Pence. But on Wednesday morning, December 30th, there was an update from news from abroad, as the Times of Israel reported that Vice President Mike Pence's trip to Israel, scheduled after the congressional certification results, had been canceled. This has been confirmed by the U.S. Embassy in Israel, but no reasons have been given by the embassy. This change is a significant one, suggesting that Pence may actually be considering a move to challenge the outcome on January 6th. Currently, with the exception of a dozen federal House Republicans led by Mo Brooks that have confirmed their participation in the January 6th challenge to the outcome, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri became the first senator to join in on December 30th. He may also be familiar to those in Hong Kong, as him, Ted Cruz, and other Republican legislators went to the front lines of Hong Kong to investigate the situation during the upsurge of Hong Kong protest movement, and then returned to the United States to speak out for Hong Kong and for the justice and freedom. This time, Hawley is the first one in the Senate to clearly stand up and challenge the results. His action was a key move because it takes at least one member of the House and one member of the Senate to challenge the election results in order to trigger the process. Hawley's objections means that the two chambers will have to debate for 2 hours and vote on whether to continue counting the votes. Hawley tweeted, "Millions of voters concerned about election integrity deserve to be heard. In another statement, he said, "I cannot vote to certify the Electoral College results on January 6 without raising the fact that some states, particularly Pennsylvania, failed to follow their own state election laws. And I cannot vote to certify without pointing out the unprecedented effort of mega corporations, including Facebook and Twitter, to interfere in this election in support of Joe Biden. Following both the 2004 and 2016 elections, Democrats in Congress objected during the certification of electoral votes in order to raise concerns about election integrity. They were all praised by Democratic leadership and the media when they did, and they were entitled to do so. But now, those of us concerned about the integrity of this election are also entitled to do the same. In addition, Senator Rand Paul and newly elected Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama have indicated plans to join the challenge, and Texas U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler, who is up for re-election on January 5th, has also indicated her willingness to join the challenge, but has not issued a formal statement. President Trump has tweeted repeatedly, calling on American voters to gather in Washington, D.C. on January 6 to pressure Congress to reach a fair and righteous outcome. At the same time, some top congressional Republicans and Democrats are bad-mouthing the challenge, saying it's just not going anywhere. Marjorie Taylor Greene, U.S. Representative-elect for Georgia's 14th Congressional District, tweeted on the 30th that according to information she has from Capitol Hill, the Republican Senate Majority Leader McConnell and House Speaker Pelosi are working together on a deal to change congressional rules to block the Electoral College certification objection on January 6. Senior Republicans such as Senate Republican Majority Whip John Thune and Senior Republican Senator John Cornyn have signaled that the January 6 challenge will fail. Seeing these Republicans who are pessimistic of the challenge, I agree with many of my friends' opinions. As a human being, a member of society, what is your attitude when it comes to major rights and wrongs? Nowadays, there are only a distinction between righteousness and wickedness. There is no partisan distinction. Of course, the Republican Party at present may be relatively more on the side of justice, and it has to be said that American political parties and many other political parties in the world are not the same and do not have the same nature as the Communist Party. When you join in the Communist Party, you have to take an oath saying you will be ready to sacrifice your life for it. And you have to take regular tests, study its ideologies, and give up your morality to conform to the party on important issues. In fact, it is a well-organized cult. Okay, let's bring the topic back. Around the January 6th congressional session, legislators are already divided into two factions. The confrontation is already obvious, and it will become more intense as we go on. This is not a difference of opinion in general, but a difference between conscience and depravity. In fact, there's already a lot of evidence on the election issue. Some are shocked by the facts and want to speak up about it, but some claim ignorance and say without a clear conscience that no has happened. On December 27th, President Trump retweeted a video multiple times. The host of the video is called Seth Holhouse. The name of the channel is Man in America, which I believe many friends have already seen. I recommend checking it out if you haven't done so. The video very profoundly reveals the evidence of the election issues and how it is deliberately ignored by well-intentioned people. Now, new evidence has emerged from the problematic state of Georgia. On December 30th, the Georgia Senate Judiciary Committee and Subcommittee on Elections held a hearing on this year's election violations in Georgia. At the hearing, inventor Johann Pulitzer revealed a new discovery. He showed pictures in his presentation and pointed out that there were widespread printing errors in the ballots. This happened in many districts with large Republican electorates, but there was no such error in districts with large Democratic electorates. Let's take two examples. One is that in Republican electorates districts, some ballots have a special barcode in the upper right corner, while in Democratic districts, there was no such barcode. The other example is that the Republican districts, there was another kind of barcode at the bottom of the ballot for the ballot scanner. It was different in style from the Democratic districts. Pulitzer said the barcodes on the Republican electoral district may not be recognized by the counting machines, and this could cause the ballots to be excluded by the machines and not counted or sent to adjudication. Pulitzer said one could quickly identify problems with paper ballots with the naked eye, and there would be no need for other tools. He stated that 500,000 ballots could be inspected in a few hours. He would be willing to help for free. He even called on President Trump to issue an executive order authorizing him to review such printed ballots in key states like Georgia. Meanwhile, a Georgia official from Coffee County testified that earlier in December, they wrote a letter to Secretary of State Raffensperger stating that the county had no choice but to report the old vote count results for the recount because the election night data had resurfaced on the new Dominion voting machines in Georgia. However, the official said what she didn't expect was for the Secretary of State to receive the letter and send 2 Dominion technicians along with fully armed staff from the Secretary of State's office and handcuffs to the county where the problem was reported. We have not heard about the results of the visit, but the Coffee County official said she thinks that sending handcuffs along with the visit was an intentional threat. In addition, many people have come to realize the Chinese Communist Party's involvement with the Dominion voting machines. For example, a French company owned by the Communist Party of China has designed a piece of hardware for use in Dominion voting machines that allows cell phones to hack into voting machines. Previously, there had been a live demonstration in the testimony procedure of how easy it was to hack into a Dominion voting machine with a cell phone. According to a report back in December 2019, at least 20% of the components in the Dominion voting machines came from companies with ties to the CCP. These components include control boards, AI processors, infrastructure software, and the touch screens. There are also at least 56% of the top 3-tier suppliers associated with the production of Dominion voting machines that have at least one office location in China, and 59% of the vendors that have at least one office location in China or in Russia or both. As the Chinese Communist Party has been infiltrating Western society for a long time, its influence is present at many subtle levels. If we don't pursue it in depth, the evil behind the scene is sometimes almost invisible, but in actuality, it is likely to play a leading role. A number of pro-Trump legal professionals have accused the Chinese Communist Party of playing a major role in the interfering with the 2020 election in the United States. Gateway Pundit has also reported that an audit in Savannah, Georgia, shows tabulation machines were sending election results directly to China. In this regard, we have a better understanding of why President Trump's administration has continued to increase sanctions against the CCP in the midst of its busy schedule after the election. As mentioned by Gateway Pundit, the CCP was involved in the 2020 election, but the mainstream media, the judicial system, the courts, politicians, and the intelligence community in the United States are ignoring this topic. It is the many emerging or smaller media outlets in the US that do not receive widespread attention that are really brave enough to expose this. In another example, a radio broadcast by the name of Patriotically Correct radio show reported on December 27th that a security officer claimed to be a Defense Department official revealed that a plane full of ballots landed at the Phoenix airport early in November. Since this story was released, PC Radio received more documents, including sworn affidavits and a recorded tape of a male's voice. The voice said that he has the first-hand knowledge that the Phoenix plane we just mentioned was escorted by the Arizona National Guard. There are many surprising pieces of evidence, and it just depends on whether people are willing to see it and believe it. If you want to know the truth, it is available. But do you dare to see it? Do you dare to believe it? Sometimes it's like this. When the truth is in front of us, it is like a test to see whether you have enough wisdom, courage, and conscience to accept the truth and believe it. At the beginning of this program, I said that there was at least 2 major events going to accompany us into the new year. One is the US election, and the other is the pandemic. Currently, there is a confirmed US case of the new CCP virus variant that was first discovered in the UK. The first known case was discovered in Colorado on December 29th. This variant spread 70% faster than other types of CCP virus. It is being closely monitored by Colorado authorities. This variant of the virus is being treated with caution in all countries. Now, on December 30th, Taiwan authorities held a press conference, and this is very telling. They claimed that the first case of the variant of the CCP virus from the UK has been found in Taiwan. It was from a teenage boy who had returned to Taiwan from the United Kingdom. Starting January 1st, Taiwan will close its borders to foreigners for at least 1 month and screen those entering the country strictly. Now, that's it for today, my friends. Make sure to like and share, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And once again, I wish you all a Happy New Year's.